Now, on that note, today, Black Child It's Possible, in partnership with Majeza Experience, hosted the first annual Boys to Men Ukuyalwa Conference 2024. The conference aims to empower men and drive dialogue around GBV and other social issues. It also encourages men to foster discussions on healthy relationships and emotional expression. For more on this discussion, we're now joined by Bhembe, the CEO of Black Child It's Possible. Billy, welcome to Newsfeed PM. Thank you so much for your time. Now, Billy, a week ago, the Public Protector Galega handed over a report to the Department of Justice, just highlighting there some of the challenges that are faced by the victims of GBV. How does Black Child It's Possible movement view the scourge of GBV in our country today?
Sure. Thank you so much, first of all, for the opportunity to address your listeners and viewers on Newzroom Afrika. Today was actually one of those days where I feel more initiatives need to be started. Many of them need to be started. Most give young men and simply communities where all men went to school themselves. Young men how to grow as responsible men. So with regards to your statement, we didn't take this lying down when we realized, number one, the numbers in our country of the number of women who are being abused, particularly by us men. And I often say us so that there's no man who points at other men, because when we say men, it's all of us. When one does wrong, it's all of us. So we should collectively take responsibility for even the rotten potatoes amongst us. So when the initiative came about, it was actually between myself and the lady, Majeza herself, who's based in KZN. And we realized that a lot of our boys get information from sources that are not credible, and also sources that they themselves have not researched what they are teaching our boys. These are street corners. These are our ankele, perhaps, who did not reach a particular level or stage in life. And this may also be by other abusers of women giving advice to our young boys. So we took a stance to say, let's come up with a concept called Boys to Men. So it's raising our boys because they will eventually become men. As to what kind of men they will become depends on the input we as society put into these young boys. So that's what brought this particular event about.
So this initiative was aimed at 100 young boys. Speak to us just on the turnout and the impact of today's efforts. I mean, you speak of them getting information from the wrong places. What tools did you use, and who was there to speak to them in terms of giving them the right information with regards to GBV?
Sure. The beauty of it, we originally had planned to have 100 boys. We ended up having a crowd of almost 200 today. And the beauty of it, it's not only boys that attended, but we also had fathers coming with their sons. So the whole idea was that we speak truth, but also at the end of our function, bring all these generations together in order to have one solid message and also one common understanding as to how to tackle this issue of gender-based violence. So the kind of people we had today, number one, we had great speakers. One of our first speakers is a very reputable man, Majeza, who is a cultural activist. He is what I'd call a walking library, full of knowledge. And the first place where we began with our boys today, where I feel most conferences don't go to, is the genesis. You know, getting men and getting boys to know exactly who they are. We took it a step further, where we even took it the cultural route, where people understand the fact that, number one, many years ago, many of our African kings or tribes, kingdoms of women, and start point to that a lot which our historical context is very important. So secondly, I was the next speaker on the program, and I'm very passionate about youth development and, more than anything else, building this, which is the human mind. You know, it's often said that we only use 5% of our mind. You can only imagine if we used even more. So I'm very passionate about what we plant in here, and most importantly, what grows in here. So the topics I touched on, besides the first one, which was father wound, Babumi has touched very beautifully on that. The fact that many men are suffering from a wounded syndrome. You know, your father was wounded, and because he was wounded, whatever teachings he's imparting into you have that element of hurt, of pain, of anger. And I then touched on mentorship, which is something that is very important for our society. In fact, Africans were known to pass down knowledge through storytelling, something I'm very much passionate about. And today we pass down lessons through storytelling, but well-researched information that would help these boys. So it had to do with mentorship. It had to do with a topic to call boy. And that was a professional glad that
All right. It seems as though the network issues between ourselves and Billy Guy Bhembe, we are struggling to hear him clearly there. But thank you so much, Billy Guy, for joining us and also for such an important initiative with regards to imparting some information and ensuring that young boys and young men in the area of KZN are given such tools in order for them to know how not only to be able to deal with the next gender, but of course, in terms of dealing with their own health and mental issues in order for us to build one cohesive society.